It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them, never. Never. That was the training that I had. You don't point a gun at me and pull the trigger.
That was Alec Baldwin, of course, in his own words to ABC's George Stephanopoulos, saying he did not pull the trigger in the 2021 fatal shooting of a cinematographer on the set of his movie Rust. Welcome back, everyone, to GMA3.
Well, now the Oscar-nominated actor and the armorer from the set will be charged with involuntary manslaughter, according to Santa Fe officials. And joining us today are ABC News contributor, homicide defense attorney, and host on the Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmeyer, and ABC News contributor Mike Muse. Thanks to the both of you for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Brian, so we'll start with you. 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter for Baldwin and 2 counts for Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the armorer on the set. Are you surprised that both faced the same level of charges?
I am. I would have expected that the armorer would have actually gotten the charges and not Alec Baldwin, because when we talk about involuntary manslaughter, we're talking about negligence, that you didn't do your job or have a level of care that caused someone else to die. Alec Baldwin might wear 2 hats, actor and director here, but I would have thought the person who prepared the gun would have faced charges and not the actor.
And Mike, let's bring you in. The DA telling ABC News' Lindsay Davis that the set was not run well. It was not safe. Of course, this is all what the DA is saying. When you heard about these charges yesterday, how surprised were you? What were your initial thoughts?
I was shocked, and even including the statement you made from the DA about the set was not safe. That doesn't fall on the responsibility of the actor. That falls on the responsibility of the assistant director, who actually took a plea deal. The assistant director is in charge of the safety of the set. Also, to the assistant director is the one who called out cold gun to Alec Baldwin, indicating that there was no live ammunition within that space. Also, to the other part is the armorer is the one who's in charge of all making sure the safety and protocols in there, that there is no live ammunition, but there are dummy ammunitions that are there. So the fact of they're blaming this on the actor doesn't really make any sense. One would assume as the actor that it is safe.
Now, Baldwin's attorney released a statement saying, quote, and we want to put it up for our viewers, Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges and we will win. An FBI forensic report from last year, Brian, showed that the gun could not be made to fire without a pull of the trigger. And you say the trigger will prove some type of negligence.
Yeah, and this is what it's all going to come down to, because it's what steps did you take, right? And while he's talking to Georgia and say, I didn't pull the trigger, the thing that sticks out to me is his training, because that's what's going to come down to this whole case. What training did you receive? What steps did you take? I mean, Mike's talking about the cold part. That's another part of his training. He's being alerted. You're safe, you're good. Now, if the FBI tests this gun and says this could not have happened but for the pull of the trigger, that's damning for him. But if, like in the interview, it says, I just pulled the hammer back and it went on its own, it's defective, that could help his case in proving this wasn't negligence.
And let's talk about SAG-AFTRA. That is, of course, the actors union. They released a statement yesterday in support of Baldwin after the charges were announced. They said the prosecutor's contention that an actor has a duty to ensure the functional and mechanical operation of a firearm on a production set is wrong and uninformed. Firearms are provided for their use under the guidance of multiple expert professionals. So, Mike, it sounds like he will have at least some support in Hollywood. But how do you think all of this is going to affect his career? He's obviously a huge movie star.
He is, but really quickly before I go to how it's going to impact that, I think it's really interesting that SAG made that statement, because recently the unions such as SAG and studio executives came together to really examine what is called safety number 1. It's a bulletin that they have. And in the bulletin number 1, it goes to the use of firearms and ammunition. And in that, it was really interesting why Alec Baldwin he keeps saying, I didn't pull the trigger. Part of safety number 1 says that you never place your hand on the trigger until it's time to shoot. So I think that is a rationale of why he keeps emphasizing that, going to safety number 1 bulletin. How this will impact his career going forward, it's yet to be determined. I think the more that the industry comes out to support him, to say is that we don't believe he's at fault with that, I think he'll be fine. Now, if a conviction does get handed down to him, I think we have to examine that later, depending on how long he gets. If it's 5 years, then he'll be out of Hollywood for a while. But if no conviction, I actually think, listen to that SAG quote, he will have support going forward. So it might not impact him too much.
And speaking of a conviction, Brian, involuntary manslaughter, that's a serious charge there. What are they facing right now?
Yeah, so there are two different types of involuntary manslaughter there. And one, he's facing 18 months. And the other, there's an enhancement because he's using a weapon or a gun, and that's 5 years. But as a defense attorney, you see three different defendants, now one already taking a plea. He took a suspended sentence, meaning he's not going to go to jail, but has 6 months of probation. So what the other defense attorneys for the other two would do is say, hey, if this assistant director got 6 months, and this person is one who, as Mike is saying, is supposed to say cold and all these other things, then my person shouldn't get jail time. So they'll try to pin that off the others. Wow,
really fascinating. So many questions a lot of people still have. So we'll have to kind of see what happens, I guess.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much. ABC contributors Brian Buckmeyer and Michael Muse. Thank you for joining us today to talk about this.
I like the colors.
All in purple.
Unplanned.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.